Okay, here I go again. I'm going to talk about the verdicts and what transpired. Before we get into it, though, I want to talk about some of the court observers and what they had put in their notes. There were 4 court observers, actually 5, including myself, but I did not take notes. And I do that for a reason. I find it that if I'm busy writing stuff down, I will miss other things. And I felt like, okay, we got 4 people, at least 4 people, or more than that, but actually writing in their notebooks and taking notes. And I felt like it was overall better for documentation that I just observed. And I did see things that I felt were unique to the situation that were not found in the notes. However, in the notes by these 4 different people, and I will mention their names later on, they understood, and in their notes they wrote that the judge, in instructing the jury, you can't find the, and I'm going to paraphrase it, because I remember the way she was wording things was, to me, was very confusing. So I'm going to paraphrase it, that she instructed the jury that if you do not find any of these men guilty of conspiracy, you cannot find them guilty on any other charges. So it's smoke and mirrors by this judge. That's the same thing Anna J. Brown did. That was her instructions to the jury, and we had 13 charges and 0 convictions because the conspiracy charge, without the conspiracy charge, you couldn't convict them on anything else. That makes perfect sense, because otherwise you're just expressing your right to open carry and your right to protest, your First and Second Amendment rights. And without conspiracy, how can you be found guilty on those rights? Now, and don't take me wrong, I don't believe in conspiracy charges as such. To me, it's convoluted. It's nothing but mind control, and how can any group of people determine what's in your heart and mind without evidence of a crime? Okay, the crime should be proven first before you have any conspiracy charges. So what they're trying to say is, your First and Second Amendment rights is evidence of a crime, and that anybody involved in it is involved with the conspiracy. All right, enough of that. The jury handed in some paperwork which is actually illegal. You cannot, those are legal documents. You can't change them. You got to start over. So why did the jury even do that? Why did the jury even do that? I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. The first question, or the main question that the jury had, remember we had these different questions, some of them didn't make, they sound like there's contradictions in them, but through all that, the main question the jury had is, why were they referring to the defendants as persons? And the judge explained it, that there's people outside of this room, jury room, unindicted co-conspirators. Now, she didn't say that at the time, but were also involved in this conspiracy. All right, and that's why he just couldn't say defendants. This came up several times during the course of this trial with the prosecution. The prosecution did not like the defense witnesses and objected to them, and were never overruled. They objected that these were all unindicted co-conspirators and they're unreliable, that you needed professional witnesses, people that were on the payroll of the United States government. And the judge sustained it. So that's why we only had three witnesses, and they had 30-something. Okay? So we have all these unindicted co-conspirators out there. Well, the jury, that was an insult to the jury. That was an insult. They wanted to get some convictions. I believe now we do know they wanted to convict Greg Burleson. They wanted to add some convictions to Todd Engel, but they couldn't do it. So their first paperwork had check marks. And that is obvious from the evidence, because when they changed him, they had lines through him, but they also had check marks on the convictions of Todd Engel and Greg Burleson. So the lines through the conspiracy charges came after they were found not guilty by the jury. So here's what happened. It's something that I don't know that anybody knows. That judge, she lobbied the jury to find out where they were. Okay, after that first question, there were several questions at first, but that one that I just mentioned, that was the important one. The other ones, it could have played into it a little bit, but I don't think so. I think it was that main question about persons or defendants got her really thinking, and got her thinking that they're going to come back with not guilty verdicts. So she lobbied them or polled them. That's what she did, without anybody knowing. I believe she polled them. And later said, oh, they came in for another question. Oh, really? 1 hour later? Or a very short time later, I don't know the exact time, after the first questions, all of a sudden, they got all their verdicts? All of a sudden, after that, they got their verdicts in. No, I don't buy it. She polled them. She found out they're all not guilty. And then she declared the Allen Act, because none of them were unanimous. And at that time, she also said, she might have declared the Allen Act because that makes no sense. Just so that she could cover herself for what she actually told the jury. You follow me? She's got to have a reason to pull that jury. And she used the Allen Act to cover what the main thrust and what she actually asked that jury and what she told that jury when she found out they were across the board not guilty. Same thing happened up in Oregon. And she said, oh, no, you misunderstood me. You misunderstood me. You can find them guilty on these other charges. And that's why I got question marks, or the check marks came later, and the line through the conspiracy charges. I think the jury was still confused. They added the convictions and decided that they had to erase, not necessarily erase, but cross out the not guilty verdicts on conspiracy. I think they were still confused. And the judge, she lost her nerve because here she failed to get them new paperwork. I think in her mind she's like, what have I just done? What have I just done? I tampered with the jury. And she lost her nerve about telling the jury, you got to throw all that away. And here's your new paperwork. Make it clean. I think she lost her nerve. The Allen Act, it has implied innocence, implied acquittal. And that's good, because that actually, I believe, will ultimately save the other four, because what Steve Meyer said, that they have to really take a look and see if they're going to prosecute these other defendants. But here's the fact. They were all found not guilty. The jury found them not guilty on conspiracy charges because they were not willing to give the government the power to go after all these unindicted co-conspirators that just made a like comment or shared a post. They were insulted by that, and they found them all not guilty until she pulled them. And then she pulled her shenanigans. People, I'll bet my life on it. I'll bet my life on it. And she used the Allen Act as a cover. God bless. Let's don't let this stand.